Dry aging is when you take large cuts of meats and you place them in a climate-controlled environment to allow the savory umami flavors to just develop and create a beautiful tender steak. When I say umami, I'm talking about a deep, rich, earthiness, savory flavor that adds a boldness to your food. The most important part of dry aging is the environment that you place it in. You want to start out with a, say a 75% humid environment. You want to be in the 35 to 38 degree range within your cooler. And sometimes you want to have a black light. So it just depends on really what you're going for in that environment and how deep of that depth of flavor that you want to create. And this is definitely not something you want to do in a regular refrigerator. There's just way too many things going on in there with products and hands and who knows whatever else. When we talk dry aging, you'll hear the difference of, you might hear a 30-day, a 45-day, a 60-day, or 90-day. Ultimately, with dry aging, you have to figure out what type of flavor you like. The longer you go, the more loss you're gonna have on the steaks you cut, but the more of a deep flavor that you're gonna have from that steak. On the front end, for me, the lowest number of days that I would go would be about 40 days. You will see a change in the color almost immediately when you place that large loin into the cooler, but the flavor is what takes the time to develop. You're waiting for that enzymatic reaction to start occurring in the meat. But what happens over that time though is the steak gets darker in color. You have a little bit more moisture loss. You start to see a little bit more happening with it, but the longer you go, the deeper the flavor. Looking at the length that piece of meat is in that environment, the longer you go, the more profound the flavors. But say at like 28 days, we're starting to see the transition of the meat. It's gonna be a little bit darker. It's gonna be a little bit, say, drier where some of the moistures come out of it. You're gonna have a little bit of crust formation on the outside that you have to trim off. The flavors are gonna be light. Like you're gonna taste a little bit of the umami. It might have a slight blue cheese hue to it. Then you jump up to a 45-day and all of those characteristics increase. The color gets a little bit darker. The moisture gets a little bit less. The flavor is deeper. And then you're pushing the 90-day and now you hit all of those. You got a big crust that you might have to trim off. The steak has like a deep red hue to it, but you get that flavor that's more profound than any of the others. My personal favorite out of those is personally, I like a 45-day. For me, you get the best of both. It doesn't have like a light umami flavors to it. It doesn't have extremely profound. It's right in the middle. To me, it has balance. When the dry aged loin comes out of the cabinet, the first thing you need to do is you have to trim off the outside layers of it. The longer it's in there, the thicker it's gonna be. But you don't wanna dig too deep into the meat. You really just wanna get just under that crust that is formed on the outside of the steak. You take that off, you do a little bit of basic trimming, you cut your steaks, and you go to the grill. A characteristic of a dry-aged steak is it takes less time to cook. I can take two of the same steaks that have the same thickness, one wet-aged, one dry-aged. The dry-aged is gonna take less time. It has moisture loss from sitting in that cooler for as long as you left it in there, which equates to less cooking time. So keep in mind when you're cooking that dry-aged steak, it's gonna take a little bit less time to cook. It's gonna have a little bit less fat on the outside of it. So when you're slicing that steak, you're gonna get an extremely rich, flavorful, and bold steak. There's nothing better than that. No way, really? We got all that good stuff?
We got all that.
Spot on right there. Nice.